F it. Let's do it live. Check this out. Good Lord, you ever have a conversation? I wonder if any streamers have experienced this. You have a conversation and it has its natural life, and the conversation builds on itself, and things start dawning on you in the conversation. And then it's like you go, wow, could you imagine the possibilities? And then you're thinking, man, could I put this on stream? And you go, where the hell did you even start? Oh my God. What, like, see, I work so organically. Okay, check this out, guys. Check this out. Dead by Daylight is spaghetti coated. Okay? We're going to, perhaps we should start from the beginning. I will release spaghetti code into this conversation. Just like Wesker releases Ouroboros, and maybe even Spaghetti Code himself. It may be Ouroboros is Spaghetti Code, and can Spaghetti Code infect and destroy software, a video game, over time. So, let's see. Dead by Daylight. Spaghetti code. Okay? We got some spaghetti code going on here, dudes. Okay. DBD size will eventually collapse from spaghetti code. Okay? Through each new patch. This is 4 years ago. By the way, guys, are you tripping on some of those giant spaghetti noodles on the new patch? Because when I was watching my dude Otz making some content, when he was healing in the basement, the healing thing was full. Another person said another glitch. The code rot. The code rot is real. The code rot groweth. Through each new patch, there seems to be more and more bugs that are brought about. And this guy's saying this 4 years ago. And if anyone doesn't know already, spaghetti code is a pejorative phrase for unstructured and difficult to maintain source code. In other words, for every update, there's a ripple effect in the code of the game that brings about glitches. Like random killers becoming bugged, or traditionally pallet stunts not working in every other patch. The issue is that, since the game is getting bigger, there will be, in theory, more errors and bugs that ripple through the game because there is just more of it. More mechanics, more maps, now 35, and more killers. More. Yes. Oversaturation. I love the updates, okay? I'm not criticizing that. I want more. I want Alucard from Helsing, as I established earlier in the stream. I want Alucard from Helsing in the game, okay? I love the new stuff. But apparently the spaghetti code offers an issue. That have all been a chance to become bugged through each patch. Behavior physically can't fix most of the bugs until the next chapter comes out, especially if there are more bugs being introduced through each patch. We're seeing them constantly disabling maps and BP compensation becoming more frequent. Either they stick to this crappy system, do a health chapter fix every year, or invest the time and resources to have the team background redo the coding of the game. I'm not a dev, and I don't know how long that would take, but okay. Here's what I've heard from people. I've heard DBD because of behavior, because DBD is their one giant success. I've heard, and this is speculation, I don't know if this person has proof of it, they have to keep that train going down the tracks in order to make the money to pay for the company existing. They can't keep that gravy train. They can't stop the gravy train. They got to keep those skins coming. They got to keep that IP coming, or it's their end. So to go back to square one, or to somehow remedy this, the argument that I heard is they don't have the resources to do this. So check this out. We know that the spaghetti code is disrupting DBD. Dead by Daylight. I had this fantastic thought. It's fantastic. But look, when I get through this concept, you have to ask yourself, is it possible? Just that this is possible will blow your mind. Now check this out. Dead by Daylight. There's almost like a meta-narrative between behavior and the entity and Wesker and Capcom. And I'll get to that in a minute. Dead by Daylight, Wesker, glitch. This captured my imagination when I first saw it. This is before I heard anything about the spaghetti code. By the way, look at the tendrils on his hand and think of what food that might look like if it was black in hue. Okay, you see this glitch? This is when he does Ouroboros. This is when he releases the spaghetti like, look at that on the person's on the HUD. It's like white spaghetti, okay? And then it turns into red spaghetti when they're fully infected. This is probably his virulent bound is related somehow with the spaghetti code because we can see that when he did virulent bound and we had this glitch, it went away. They cured the glitch. They had an update. It came back. That is one of the things that spaghetti code does, is it comes back. Now, in the lore, I have heard people question, can someone defeat the entity? Think of the entity. The entity is in the rounds, is the game. Can someone defeat this thing that makes the game? The entity is Dead by Daylight. It's bringing in all these people in alternate dimensions, bringing it in. It is the game. It's the thing that takes you up when you die. It's the thing that blocks a gen. The entity is the game. Can someone kill it and release these people from their woes and their tribulations? Some people have speculated blight. He could blight the entity, and that could somehow make it sick. Some people have speculated Claudette could use flower, botany knowledge, in order to fight the entity. If you listen to the lore people, a lot of the people that they have contenders are people that could make it ill, make it sick somehow. Well, think of Claudette. Think of her botany knowledge. Think of how people speculate that in her lore, she might be the one to devise a way to poison the entity. Well, Albert Wesker has his own kind of botany knowledge. And do you know what Ouroboros is derived from? It's derived from a flower. Okay? When he uses the virulent bound, the Ouroboros infection is derived from a flower. Okay? Now I want you to think of something really weird here. If Capcom helped behavior with making Wesker. How much did they help behavior make Wesker? How much did they contribute? Now, could they have contributed code? Could Capcom have contributed code into the virulent bound? The virulent bound is super glitchy. It has something to do with the spaghetti code. It has something to do with the code rot, like an infection. Now check it out. You don't think that Capcom is a competitive business. They are an extremely competitive, successful business. Do you think it's possible that Capcom could put in a Trojan horse on the leader of asymmetrical horror, make money from that Trojan horse, make IP money from a competitor and put in a Trojan horse to make a infection from code from one of their IP members, and then have a period of time where the game suffers from the code rot, from the infection that they snuck in there with their own IP license so they can make money from a competitor and then destroy their game and then come out with their own asymmetrical IP. Capcom has tried so hard to make a online competitive game, whether it's how far it's party or how far it's competitive. They have reverse. And according to this idea, which I don't have to tell you, this is speculation, this is fun to think about. Am I making this claim that Capcom used a Trojan horse to infect the spaghetti code of behavior's wesker, and they would never know because the spaghetti code, they can't tell the source that the source of some of the problems is the virulent bound, is the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, as it infects survivors, as it infects the entity, it is also infecting the game and the spaghetti code. And that they would put him in there to destroy the game over time. And then after making money through the IP, make their own asymmetrical horror after the demise of Dead by Daylight. And the spaghetti code finally kills them. But it was the virulent baron. It was the mastermind behind the death of the entity. It was the mastermind behind the death of the game. So as Wesker could use Ouroboros to infect the entity, destroy it, and free everybody from the chains of their enslavement on it, Capcom could send in a Trojan horse of an IP and infect the game with a virus. The behavior would never change. It's a meta reflection. Capcom is to Wesker as the entity is to behavior. Can Wesker infect the entity? Can Capcom infect Dead by Daylight using Wesker? Now, like I said, people say, you say Capcom's using Wesker as a Trojan horse virus in order to destroy DBD? That's crazy. It is crazy. It is a stretch. But it's just the idea that that could potentially happen is crazy to me. The thought that that could be a thing, because you got two things. You got the fiction and the nonfiction. The fiction is Wesker is that mastermind. Wesker is that mastermind where he says 7 minutes. 7 minutes is all the time I have to play with you. Meaning, I'll play with you like a video game, but I got a time. I got to check my watch because I got some videotapes to return. And what could you replace? Check this out. What if they're even sending some subtextual message? Could you replace 7 minutes with 7 years? Wesker's been out 2 years. It would blow my freaking mind if in 5 years the spaghetti code and the code rot finally dismantled the game, made it unplayable, and the game had to close down. And maybe they tried to come out with a Dead by Daylight 2 or something, and it flopped. They tried to do something to pivot. They tried to save themselves, but they couldn't do it. If spaghetti code is the reason that the game ends, is there even a remote possibility that Wesker was a Trojan horse to infect a game that had spaghetti code and couldn't detect where the source was coming from? The reason why I wondered that, isn't it interesting that his virulent bound, his infecting people of the Ouroboros, is literally a bug, is infected. His infecting survivors is infected in that actual game. It mirrors itself. Infects survivors, it's actually an infection in the coding. Now, like I said, okay? Like I said, I'm not saying this is true. It's just an idea that is stimulating to me and interesting to me. Capcom is a hardcore business. The Japanese, traditionally, from my understanding, look at business like warfare. You are a competitor. Behavior has the #1 asymmetrical horror game. They're competition. Can they take down the competition? Make money off of them simultaneously, and then fill the vacuum which DBD will no longer fills. They'd be the mastermind. Capcom would be the mastermind. Wesker would be the mastermind. As in the fiction, Wesker taking on the entity. Capcom would be infecting behavior in Dead by Daylight with their own aggressive virus. That they would be taking the vulnerability of that spaghetti code, and they would be taking advantage of it, and they would be taking out a competitor, but they were invited in to help create Wesker. Could they have maliciously put in something into behavior in order to do it? Speculation, just a fun thought. I was talking to Wesker about it, and our minds were blown about the concept that something like that could happen. Like lore wise, it takes Wesker to kill the entity. Like, think about it. He even looks in the lobby. He looks at the POV, knowing, and grins and puts his sunglasses up. And would Capcom do something to what they view as business rivals, but they treat as business friends, and the nice Canadian behavior would never suspect that they would treat it like business is war, and that they would never put a Trojan horse into the game. And like the virulent bound itself is massively glitchy, as it did some of the programming and some of the Wesker programming infect the game, just like Wesker would infect a survivor with Ouroboros. There we go. We got it out. Tinfoil hat, you got to get a big one, man. You got to have a tinfoil sombrero. Tinfoil sombrero on. There you go. Very interesting for me to think about. I love the thought. So, like, even if that isn't IRL stuff, imagine a fiction. Imagine a movie where they did that, where a competitor video game programmer, they put in a bug through a character, like one of their favorite IPs, into a rival game that was winning on a certain genre, to destroy that game in a certain genre, and to then fill in the vacuum that they left using their IP. Right? Oh, dude, I love the concept. I mean, if anything, just take the entity, just take behavior, just take Capcom, just take Wesker out of the concept. Think of that. Two businesses with coding and developers. One of them says, we really like your IP. We want to use it. We want to use your software. Oh, yeah, you can use the software. That's great. We're great business partners. And then they inject code. They make money for this entity. They make money for this entity over here. Inject this with a Trojan horse because they have bad coding. They are not the S tier coders at behavior that Capcom is. And then they're making money off of this. They inject it with malicious code, wait for a while. This becomes dissolved. A competitor is gone. They made money. Now this product, you can fill it with the vacuum. See, it's a fascinating concept when you just take the names out. You know, take Capcom out, take behavior out, take Wesker out, take the entity out of the equation. But then, well, honestly, what would make it fascinating and make it so like almost poetry is you have it a character with symbolically giving an infection to something in this IP, and it's literally giving an infection into the software. It's metaphorically infecting, and it's literally infecting. It's almost like a calling card. It's almost like poetry. You know? It's like the art of war. business is war, then it would be the art of war, the art of business. That when I had that conversation with someone about that possibility or that idea, it was freaking mind blowing. What could you imagine if Wesker brought in an infection into the spaghetti code that behavior has, and it ended up destroying the game, and they would never know it because one of the staples of spaghetti code is it's hard for them to know the source, but we know that the virulent bound is buggy as hell. That thing kept resurfacing. I saw after the new update, I was watching Otz play, and he was playing Wesker a few rounds. I was waiting to see the people all glitched out after being hit because I was waiting for confirmation bias on my dope ass idea, and of course it didn't happen. But I just a fun thought. Entity X, Entity Y. Entity X wants to use Entity Y's software to improve the sales of their software. They say okay. They gave them the IP. They inject a virus in them while letting them use the IP. Their IP infects Entity X while Entity Y makes money from that IP, destroys this, leaves a vacuum open for the product, and then made money to invest in a new product to fill in the vacuum. Okay, I'm going in circles now. I'm repeating myself. I think it needs a little repeating, though, because it's such a strange alien concept. Maybe it's not. Maybe people could be like, IBM did this with Aloware. IBM worked with Aloware, and they found out they put in viruses in Aloware. I don't like. Is that? Have we ever seen that before? Oh, what's going on here? Okay. Is there ever been an instance of that? Let's see. Coding, software, virus, business against business? I'm not really wording that very well. Corrupt files. Could a literal code bug have been implemented from the virulent bound that could over time corrupt files? Is that possible? Like, see, that to me is plausibility. Some of the conspiracies, like reptile people are living among us, it's so implausible. It's so schizomaniacal is what some of that is. The Nephilim reptilian aliens among us. Dude, you know what? I was looking, I don't know if I worded it well. I was trying to see if there's been any. If there's any. This would be great to ask the question in a short. Can someone tell me, because the way I'm searching this up isn't working, to find out, is there a business that worked with another business with software coding, let them borrow some of their software, but they implanted a virus into the other company while they made money doing business with them to destroy a competitor? Is there a documentation of that? Or is it possibly it could have happened and no one knew? Because if you're hiding behind... See, I'm a novice about the coding, so I don't know. Can you have spaghetti code? Can you put a virus into someone's spaghetti code and have plausible deniability because it's spaghetti code and they can't trace it back to you? Is that possible? It makes me want to actually look up more about code, man. I mean, that is to know if it's possible or not, because you can come up with any wild idea if you're ignorant about the specifics. But like, just that concept. Could you imagine Virulent Bound infecting survivors while Virulent Bound code infects the entity slash the coding of the game? Okay. All right, I did myself, Wesker. I mean, dude? I told you the organic nature of the conversation might have lost integrity through waiting a day, staling out the conversation, and then trying to stream it. I think I did it justice. I definitely I hammered some points to make sure it was clear what was being said. I think I had some enthusiasm behind it. I think it's fascinating. You know what would be hilarious if this shit was true? Then it's like Alucardbatz, the prophet of doom. But in 5 years, the spaghetti colon blows the fuck up. No one knows why. Oh, dude, I feel like that South Korean doing the monkey shines clap while Matthew Kote was getting blinded. Okay.